protest goes wrong news.
Oh no, hot dog!
Submitted by Chocolate Tacos.
Are you gonna grab his titty?
A journalist Nikki. A journalist was attacked by a left-wing extremist.
Oh no.
What was it? The Socialist Pizza Party?
Yes. You read up on this one. So we got a lot of requests for this one. I assume because this guy is Asian. Maybe.
So maybe that's why they were requested?
Maybe. I saw a lot of comments asking for this one.
Andy, no?
Andy, no. Yeah.
Oh, this one.
Yeah. So
I don't know anything about it. I just saw that Joe Rogan did an interview, and I'm like,
Don't know?
NGO.
I don't know. Yeah.
So there was a couple weeks ago, there was a rival protest happening in Portland, Oregon between a right-wing group called the Proud Boys.
Oh, stop with that name.
And
Proud Boys? That sounded like a joke.
I know it's
It
not.
started as a joke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not kidding.
What do you?
Nothing.
It's not a great name. And the left-wing group Antifa. And
I keep hearing that Antifa thing, and I'm like, huh? What is it?
It's short for anti-fascist.
Yes.
Well, that's a good thing to be.
You would think.
You would think. So basically, the two groups were having a protest, like basically just holding banners and shit across the street from each other.
Would you say that they're kind of extremists in their side of things?
Yes.
They both are?
Yes. Okay. And if you're willing to go to a protest, you're probably pretty on a certain level.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So Andy, he called himself a photojournalist.
Unless it's like a women's breast cancer awareness march, I think those people aren't that extreme.
That's a protest?
Yeah.
No, those are usually in support.
Good point. It's a support test.
And that's a support test.
Support of the titties.
So Andy, he calls himself a photojournalist.
He calls himself that? Like, do other people not?
Well, a lot of places call him a conservative journalist.
There's a lot of.
But he doesn't. He says that he's not a conservative.
He has no political stance.
I think there's a lot of quick opinion pieces that kind of piggybacked off of each other that I feel like didn't represent who he is. He's just a photojournalist, but they paint him as this conservative.
For who or what? What publications?
So he's done stuff for Wall Street Journal. I forgot the names, but that's one of them. But he not only has he written for, but he's submitted pictures and done other stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. So this guy, he's known by Antifa because he has called out Antifa violence. He's reported on Antifa violence, and so Antifa knows of this guy.
Right.
And so when he showed up to the protest, he says that he started getting followed by Antifa, and that he started getting pestered by them, and they threw milkshakes at him.
Oh, delicious.
And they threw rocks at him,
Oh,
and then he had a
delicious.
brain hemorrhage from it.
Whoa!
Yeah, I think like there's a video of him. Yeah. There's like a bunch of guys. They kicked him, and they're wearing masks, and then like they were stomping on him and got jumped.
It's happening too.
Yeah.
There he is.
Oh, yikes.
Yeah.
He's got that Kanye jaw.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So here's more of him getting. He got milkshaked.
How do you get a brain hemorrhage from getting hit with a milkshake?
No. He got hit with
There
rocks
were,
too.
like about 12 people there or so, and then they were throwing milkshakes at him, and then they started chucking rocks and then started beating him.
And then police also said that some people were putting Quickcrete into the milkshake,
What is that?
but they don't know that that's part of what hit him. They just know that was happening there too.
So they prepared for him?
Yeah, what the fuck? They just come with shit to start rioting?
Both sides were. I think Antifa was brandishing weapons, cloaking them, and I think also the Proud Boys were brandishing weapons like covertly, like in jackets and shit.
And he's okay though?
He says that he still he possibly will have memory loss for the next 6 months, and yeah.
He's having issues with some cognitive functions, and he says that it's not apparent, but he's doing. I've watched a few interviews with him, and he does have a slow speech pattern. And I don't know if he always spoke that way, but it kind of feels like it takes him a while to answer certain things.
Did anybody get arrested or anything?
No, that's the thing. Is one of his biggest issues is with the city. So there's a huge unraveling of what happened, and well, for one. He's been specifically targeted by Antifa because he wrote a piece about them, because he wanted to investigate as a journalist to see what is going down with an extremist far left group that never gets covered in the media.
Right.
Because a lot of things get covered on the far right because they're also violent and dangerous and whatever.
Well, the media tends to be more liberal these days too.
Yeah, and maybe they don't. I don't know, and maybe people don't understand that Antifa is also a very extreme group.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't it like journalists they're supposed to be like Switzerland in that you're not supposed to harm them in things like protest and riot and war, and that's why it's always such a big deal when a journalist like overseas gets captured or like prisoner of war.
Right. Exactly. But the Antifa group is an extremist group, and they see his work as an attack to their group. So he's been called a white supremacist. Yeah. And then it's weird because
he's a gay Asian guy.
Yeah, he's gay.
A white supremacist.
I don't know.
But he says that in their vocabulary and in their world, it makes sense because he's helping the white supremacist agenda.
Oh, so he's
a sympathizer. And what's kind of weird because like I've seen a picture of Antifa. They're all like, there's a lot of white guys in there, and I'm like,
it's almost all white guys.
So you have all these white guys calling these minorities racists, and then you're like jumping them, and it's like that's so weird, right? I don't get it.
They're just as bad as a right-wing at this point, especially if you're using violence.
And that's what Andy No's trying to say.
Yeah, so he basically goes into like protests, takes pictures and all that stuff, and I guess during this, which happened in June 29 or something like that, he basically got jumped because they were like, that's that fucker that did this. Yeah, and I guess Antifa is known to be more violent and aggressive with their actions, so they're not like a group that
they're
goes
not like
out and
Greenpeace and like sits in silent protest.
No, they're like running up and pepper spraying people and like throwing things at them. Yeah.
It's almost like they're trying to fight violence with violence because they probably feel like victimized. Like there's no other way. How are we going to get through to these people? But now they're becoming the attacker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
And as I was doing my own research on it, it seemed like it started off like that, like kind of like, hey, there's all these like white supremacist
We're gonna
guys.
go say white savior hero moment.
We gotta do something about it, and then like they wear masks because they don't want to get doxxed by the other guys, and then they're like, let's get in and help these people out. But I don't know, it's just, I think the violence is just bad on both sides.
Yeah, and this is one of those that actually broke through into the mainstream because there's been attacks before from Antifa. Like there was this one called the bike lock attacker who basically took a bike lock, put it in like a sock, and like hit a guy in the head with it, like fractured part of his skull.
That's crazy.
And that guy got doxxed because they were trying to find out who the fuck did this so they could charge him. So that's what a lot of the left-wing sites are saying, that Andy No doxes Antifa, but Andy No says, I help identify people who committed acts of violence.
On both sides.
Oh, that's why they wanted to attack him so badly.
That's what he says. Yeah.
Well, the doxing incident, actually, he explains it, and he's never actually doxed anyone that hasn't been identified by media before.
So Andy No is doxing these people?
That's what they're claiming, is he's doxing people.
Or is he leading to the doxing? Like he's like the gateway into letting people dox someone?
Well, he's identifying people that the media already named.
Right. So
he's not
She's like echoing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. So he's dropping names, but these people have been published elsewhere.
Right. He's just helping get the word out that this happened.
And he's like, I recognize, for example, one of them is, I recognize this woman before. She was caught for creating destroying sound equipment during a speech or something. Some, I guess, Google exec was coming to talk, and then she came and she destroyed it. She was on the news for that, and he identified her at the protest. So she was already on the news prior to, and he's like, oh, I recognize this lady. And then he wrote her name, and then Antifa's like, yeah, he's doxing.
And a lot of Antifa sympathizers feel like Andy No was agitating them just by being there and reporting on it.
Like he's an agitator, kind of like, oh, the Proud Boys are an agitator for, so.
Isn't that his job? Like
that's what he says.
Right.
So he's saying that I'm trying to document, because there's a lot in the media about right-wing stuff. Right, exactly.
But the left is seeing him as right.
Right.
And right is just kind of like, he's not ours.
It's the classic tribalism shit. Like, I gotta put you in a group because I don't know what you are.
So it sounds like the problem here is this Antifa nonsense. Are they all bad?
I wouldn't.
I don't think so. Like, I think most extremist groups, you got like a handful of bad, crazy ones that are violent. And some people, I think a lot of people actually just join groups not knowing.
Yeah.
Like, I
Like flat earthers, they
like
just want
when I
community.
first heard of the word Antifa, what is it? Anti-fascist. I'm like, that's what
you said, exactly.
Yeah, we need people to like help us out, you know? Yeah, because who doesn't want a more diverse world and like
how do we stop
non-Nazis?
them, right? Like, is it the left's job to then like get our lefters under control, or is it like we should be expending our energy still trying to fight the right?
Well, it's one of those weird things where who is the right? So if you're gonna call someone who's a Republican a Nazi, and then it becomes let's fight Nazis, and I'm Antifa and I punch Nazis, I punch Republicans, so it's just like nobody's actually communicating anymore. It just becomes inflated. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the whole solution here is go back to actual debate, politics, and intellect. Like, take it out on a intellectual platform. But that's what we were supposed to do. Is like the free speech thing is about just getting up on stage and battling thoughts, and it's like a rap battle, but with like intelligence and politics.
A debate.
Rap battles are very smart, I think.
Well, it is, yeah, but it's not about just like clowning and roasting, right? It's like policies and whatever, and it's like cultural issues or whatever. Like, why can't they do that?
It also is at like a time in life where your political stance is who you are as a person. Like, unfortunately,
That's what I hate.
you can't just like have a dinner with a Republican and like talk, and then at the end of the dinner be like, man, it was good to see you, like dap up, I'll see you at soccer practice next week. It's like, we're cutting you off from my family, and it's like we can't even just get back to that most basic level of just human communication with one another.
Or you're a conservative and you can't have dinner with a libtard because they're a libtard.
Yeah.
It's like,
or like the way people have to first preface everything they say with like, as a Japanese American straight male that believes in both left and right moderate politics and this and living in Los Angeles, California.
Bless you.
And it's like, damn, dude, like why do you have to fucking do that shit? I don't get it.
you're a presidential debate audience questioner. Holy shit, I swear to God, every time. As a pregnant mother of two who lives in Albuquerque, and I make this much
The
a
whole
month, I'm
life
like, what's your
story.
fucking
I'm a
question?
Cancer, and it's like
My favorite month is October because I love autumn.